Look, it's interesting looking at the Democrats. The party's approval rating is at a record low, but Rolling Stone magazine published polling this week that found that voters see Democrats as more corrupt than Republicans. This is a Liberal poll, Impact Research, that also found that voters deemed it very important, 53% classifying it as a very big priority. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that people are seeing the Democrats as more corrupt?
Here in Washington, D.C., that survey, if you mentioned it at an event or a pub, people would absolutely have their jaws on the floor because Washington doesn't realize this is how the country sees the Democratic Party. They think that Trump has been such a political gift with all of the baggage that comes with this guy being a businessman who's had deals in Russia and the Middle East and all of that. They don't realize that Trump has actually pretty successfully called voters' attention to what Democrats have been doing with less media coverage for years and years in the shadow of the press kind of muckraking on Democrats. And so I think it's actually very interesting, especially now after the myriad news cycles on Elon Musk and Doge, that this poll is still finding that this is a bigger problem for Democrats who really thought that they had a slam dunk with Musk and Doge in terms of overcoming Republicans on metrics exactly like these. So they have a lot of soul searching to do. And honestly, here in Washington, my view is that they are not doing it and they don't even understand what to do at this point.
Yeah. Well, I think it's not just in Washington. People around the world are thinking, what on earth are they doing? What direction are they going in? Well, we know that a former Vice President, Kamala Harris, has confirmed that she's not going to be entering the 2026 California governor's race, ending months of speculation about a return to politics. But in her statement, she said she reflected deeply and decided not to seek elected office for now. The key words there. She wrote, "For now, my leadership and public service will not be in elected office. I look forward to getting back out and listening to the American people, helping elect Democrats across the nation who will fight fearlessly, and sharing more details in the months ahead about my own plans." Now, Emily, this certainly opens the door for another run for president in 2028. How likely is it that we'll see that?
Yeah, I mean, I think right now this indicates how serious she is about that. And it's obviously a good decision for Kamala Harris to stay out of the limelight for as long as is humanly possible because she's such a toxic brand right now for Democrats. She's someone who just reminds them of the Biden cover-up, and average voters actually still really care about that. You hear Democrats in Congress like Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez talking about how her own constituents still talk about this and still care about the Biden cover-up, and Kamala Harris is a big walking reminder of that every single day. So it makes sense for her to stay out of any urgent, imminent race. But I think partially the other reason is that she can start rebuilding for a political future, talking to donors, seeing what her lane would potentially look like in 2028, instead of thrusting herself back into campaign life and governing decisions where you can't really sit back and let the pieces fall. You have to be an active part of putting them where you want them to be on the board. I think she recognizes that it will behoove her to come into that process later and not really be a leader in the Democratic Party's transition phase right now.
Well, speaking of the Biden cover-up, former President Joe Biden is now writing a memoir about his time in the White House. He's reportedly getting $10 million up front to write this. I mean, Emily, what are the chances that he's actually going to be writing this one? He might be bringing back the auto pen or staff who are actually running the country to get this done.
Well, memoir is, of course, a derivative of the word remember. And I have a very hard time. I have a very hard time believing that Joe Biden's memories of his time as president of the United States are detailed and vivid enough to constitute a really compelling memoir without someone else filling in a lot of the blanks for him. And I'm sure that's about what we're going to see. He's right now ailing from, I believe, stage 4 cancer, very serious cancer diagnosis. So, I mean, it's actually always just makes me sad. I mean, it makes me mad on behalf of the country, but it makes me sad also for him to just see him try to build this legacy after serving in office, trying to run again, and dividing the country so much over what was obvious for everybody to see.
Yeah, I agree with you. It is so sad, and I think the people around him, including his family members, have a lot to answer for. I want to ask you about an incident that took place in the United States this week. There was a horrific attack in Cincinnati where vision went viral of thugs attacking two people just in the streets. You know, a vision that was horrific. We decided not to play it. Now, Cincinnati Chief of Police, she held a press conference where she unleashed on the media and those posting on social media about it. Take a listen.
Social media and journalism and the role it plays in this incident. And yes, guys, that's you. That is you. Social media, the post that we've seen, does not depict the entire incident. That is one version of what occurred. At times, social media and mainstream media and their commentaries are a misrepresentation of the circumstances surrounding any given event. What that does, that causes us some difficulties in thoroughly investigating the activity.
Emily, I just find this bizarre that the blame is for this attack in a way is getting put on the people who filmed it and shared it on social media. It's also wild that she's blaming the media there because I noticed that there was really a lack of coverage when it came to this event. It took the mainstream media quite a long time to actually cover this.
Right. And she seemed to be lashing out particularly at social media sleuths because the video first caught the attention of the country when it went viral on X and on social media accounts. And what she's not saying there is exactly what those online sleuths have gotten wrong, or what the media, which you're right, is barely covering this story, what they got wrong. And so the self-righteousness and the pompousness that you can hear in her voice, I mean, it's understandable that somebody in law enforcement gets frustrated by reactions on social media that make a case that much harder, but it's part of her job. And to not even have a actual serious piece of criticism against those social media sleuths was incredibly counterproductive. And frankly, it was infuriating to the perspective of somebody who wanted answers.
Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree with you. Finally, Katy Perry has been spotted back from space out on a dinner date with Canada's former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau. TMZ has released photos of the American singer grabbing dinner with him in Montreal. Look, neither of them are very popular. What's the reaction to this been?
I think she's still in space. She's still up there enjoying it on her dream date with Justin Trudeau. Well, yeah, I mean, listen, they both are sort of recently separated, divorced. It's incredibly strange, but not surprising, because I think they're both people who enjoy the limelight, that they would be finding solace in other celebrities. So I'm excited to see where this goes. I bet it's going somewhere. They stopped at the park apparently before this date, so it seems like it might have some legs. And Justin Trudeau, I mean, he's got more time on his hands now, so he certainly could give her some attention.
Emily Jashinsky, host of After Party with Emily Jashinsky, thank you so much for joining us on Power Hour. Great to speak to you again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.